After a time, the persecution in Mecca was building up stronger and stronger. It was around this time that the Prophet suffered two great losses. He suffered the loss of Khadija, his wife, who had been the great bulwark in his life, who had been his companion through 25 years. He also suffered the loss of Abu Talib, who had been the head of the clan, who had given him his protection. And now we see that on the one hand, the persecution of the infant Muslim community was stepping up, and on the other hand, people from other parts of the Arabian Peninsula were beginning to hear more and more about the Prophet. And so groups of people came down from a city of Yathrib, a little further north than Mecca. They took back the message, they spoke about it with the people, and then they made a decision. They wanted to have somebody in Yathrib who would be a focal point, a common leader for all the people there, and so they came to invite the Prophet to move from Mecca to Medina and to become a community leader there. This we call the Hijra, and this is what we need to explore today. The Prophet gave orders to his community that they should move off in small groups over a period of days and weeks, and they should make their pilgrimage, their migration, to start a new life in Medina. Eventually, the Prophet decided that it was time for him to move himself, because at this stage, already now there were assassination talk, there were plots, there were people who were prepared to kill Muhammad himself in order to stop the message of Islam. And so Muhammad was to move off from Mecca to Medina, but he gave Ali two very important tasks before he left. The first was that Ali was to act as a decoy. Ali was to sleep in the Prophet's place. He was to wrap himself in the Prophet's blanket. He was to be prepared to defend himself against an attack by would-be assassins at that time. And sure enough, we're told that the assassins came with the intention of killing Muhammad in his own place when he was asleep. And instead, they found Ali there, and they found Ali equipped, sword in hand, ready to defend himself against those who would kill the Prophet of God. So this was the first task that he was given, to sleep in the Prophet's place. The second task. Now remember that the people of Mecca were opposed to the message of Islam. They were opposed to the person of the Prophet himself. But nevertheless, they had a very high regard for his honesty, for his integrity, and therefore they were willing to put into his care, his possession, various items, precious things, that he would take care of them. He was entrusted with these precious things on behalf of many of the people of Mecca, many of the idol worshippers of Mecca who were now responsible for persecuting the Muslims. And yet, this trustworthy prophet, Al-Amin, gives instructions to Ali that before he is to leave Mecca, before he can make his own hijrah, he is to be responsible for giving back all those pledges, all those precious things that had been put into the care of the Prophet. He was to see that they were given back to the rightful owners, even though They were the enemies and the persecutors of the Muslim community. We see something here, first of all, of the character of the Prophet, that to return a trust even to an enemy is a duty which is placed upon him. He is the trustworthy one. We see something as well about the character of Ali, because he is willing to be obedient to the Prophet's instruction here. He is willing to go into the enemy camps and the enemy encampments around in Mecca and to return these precious gifts before he can save himself and make his own hijrah to Medina. The character of both of them shines through in this event. But there was another most important task that was given to Ali in this hijrah. He was to take a responsibility for gathering together the women of the Muslim community and seeing that they were safe and they were protected in their hijrah going to Medina. Now, who were these women? Well, there was Fatima, his own mother. There was Fatima, the daughter of the Prophet, who was to become his wife. These were some of those cherished women who were in his care that he had to take responsibility of on this hijrah, this dangerous journey that would carry them up to Medina to begin a new life there. Now we remember that the women of the company of Muhammad had been very important and active in these early years when the Muslims were in Mecca. Indeed, the first martyr in the Islamic tradition was one of these women followers of the Prophet in Mecca, who refused to give up her faith in Islam, who would only profess the belief in one God and in the prophethood of Muhammad in spite of torture, in spite of persecution, in spite of her own family ganging up and eventually killing her. So she died a martyr in order that no one would say that she would betray the oneness of God and the prophethood of Muhammad. So it was women of this caliber that Ali was requested, instructed to protect and to guide in their hijrah as they made the journey from Mecca to Medina. This was a long and an arduous journey, a journey that had degrees of uncertainty about it. The uncertainty of traveling through the desert. We're thinking here of 350 kilometers, a long journey. The uncertainty also of what the people of Mecca would do about this journey, the uncertainty of what might happen to them, and yet again we see the faith and the trust of the women. Faith and trust, first of all, in God, that it was God's will and therefore God would see it to fulfillment, but faith also in Ali as the prophetically appointed protector of that gathering of women. And we know that the Prophet himself halted his own hijrah outside Medina, and he waited there until Ali arrived with the community of women so that they could enter into Medina together. Again, the Prophet paying high respect not only to Ali, not only to Ali's mother Fatima, but also to his own daughter, the daughter of his heart, the daughter who would bear his grandchildren. And we see them entering into Medina together to begin the new life of the settled community in that city.